Welcome to What's New in Electronics 2018 at the NEC in Birmingham. We have a small audience here, which is very nice, probably larger than the Donald Trump inauguration crowd, so that's a good start. And we're going to be talking about Industry 4.0, artificial intelligence and the operator, the big themes of the day probably. I'm joined by Pawel Mroz, Thomas Marktscheffel and Michael Ford. Sorry, it hasn't even been a long day yet either. There is this perception that AI is going to change everything, take our jobs, or it's a slightly hyperbolic big brother fear, I think, that a lot of people have. But the reality is AI is here and informing decisions and things we do all day, every day. What do you think it will enable in the electronics manufacturing industry? Let's start with you, Pawel.
Yeah, so for sure it will help with decision making, because for example, if you're manufacturing something, you want decision to be made in seconds. So if you talk about productivity, if you have a low volume, high mix, you change the product. So if you talk about changing the product in couple of minutes, you will lose a lot of money. If you think about changing that production in couple of seconds, you will gain that money back. So if you have an operator making decision, I need that feeder, I need that card, I need that component, that can be time taking. If there will be some kind of support software that will help you with that decision, that will help. That will make a decision fast, automatically send everything to the machine and just send information to operator that please change that card with that card number, please feed that component, and everything will be made fast.
Do you think it's also a big important part of this is putting as much information, total information, in front of the operator so that there are more informed decisions made?
Yes, I think so. We still will need the operator, but we will relieve operators from, let's say, standard work, simple work that can be easily done by robots, and we will improve their work by providing them the necessary data to make more informed decisions and also give them more insight into processes. And for example, at ASM we are working at artificial intelligence applications to analyze processes and then provide operators with the necessary information to decide about how to improve and what to change. And this means that AI is supporting operators. It does not make them superfluous. It improves the way how they can work, and they can work much better than before.
So it's not about de-skilling the workforce, is it? It's about supporting their skills, do you think?
Yeah, it kind of comes down to two different areas, and I think we need to be clear on what artificial intelligence means, because we kind of think of it sometimes as the Terminator coming along and it's all Skynet and all of this kind of stuff. And that might happen in the future. I don't mean the world will come to an end, but there will be automated factories where decision making has been made. But for the foreseeable future, software is working to bring information to people and also take decisions by itself. Now, this isn't new. I mean, all of our software has been making decisions on behalf of people for many years, but it is a basic algorithm that does a certain defined thing. If artificial intelligence goes to that next layer, the cleverness of it is such that it starts to literally think for itself, changing the parameters of what it's doing and adapting to a new situation. Can we see such an example of that today? No. What we are calling artificial intelligence today is actually mainly very sophisticated algorithmic computations. And so we need to be careful about how we think about that. But there are two areas, as I said. One is bringing information and suggestion, so it's like a pre-decision, to people who are making decisions, like when to send materials or what orders can I produce in the factory, so the scheduling side of it. So it's kind of bringing an enhancement to that operation. On the other side then, as we said, it's bringing information to operators. So that, for example, I mean, for me, I've never really worked intensively in manufacturing. I've done the odd job here and there. But for somebody like me who knows a little bit about everything, could I have a set of glasses that would give me instructions that would be able to make the most sophisticated of products? Yes, that is happening in the future. How do I know this? Because it's happening today. Except today, it's on a screen in front of the operator. They have to look at what they're doing and look at the screen and look back. That's the problem. But you put it on the glasses and they're being given step-by-step instructions. So this is an evolution of technology. And it's not something to be afraid of. It's something that we've been doing for a while. When it becomes time to be afraid, I'll come back and let you know.
Good. Terminator's walking down the aisles here. Probably not going to happen in the next few years. Mm-hmm. But that is crucial what you say there. It is an evolution. And when we say AI, what we really mean is machine learning allied to big data and algorithms that allow things to be worked out, as I understand it. Mm-hmm. That big data has to be accrued. That has to be built up. That's why Google and Amazon are doing so well the voice side, and Apple isn't doing quite as well because they're in so many more places and build out so much more data. How are we doing that for the electronics industry?
I mean, before the kind of technology we're talking about here, you would go up to, let's say, an old-fashioned machine in manufacturing that's providing a report. It can sense what's happening within it itself. So you take a report out and 20% of the data you see has value. 80% does not, because it stopped for some reason. It doesn't know why. It doesn't know it's blocked this way, that way, a material wasn't supplied, it doesn't know why. And so if you're simply taking data from a machine and putting it into a cloud, you're just basically doing a digital landfill. You're just filling the cloud full of stuff that will never ever bring any value. What is important is to extract data in a meaningful way and qualify it. So what we've tried to do with the communication from more modern machines that we're showing here at the show is that we understand the context of where we're acting. Machines are communicating with each other and creating data that is 100% added value. So you can use that to make decisions. You can use that to inform operators and guide them on what to do. You can use it to control decision making, or you can put it into the cloud so that standard analytics engines can then make sense of it.
So for a manufacturer, that is the challenge, to work out what is the right data to use and how you standardize that across everything you produce, I guess.
Yes, I think this comes from experience from just doing that kind of analysis. A couple of years ago, I think the approach was, as Michael called it, the digital landfill. So send out everything, because if you send out everything, you're not losing anything. Obviously, this did not work in many cases. Bandwidth limitations, storage space, and also no tools to extract the right data. But by working on that, and that's what we are doing with partners, we quickly learn what is important and what is not important. And we're also working on standards so that this knowledge is not only available to us, but also available for other companies, that they see what kind of data is coming or what kind of data needs to be sent. And I think by that, the manufacturing industry will step by step learn what is important data and what is not.
Yes.
And then it will be possible to build algorithms. We already started, other companies also started, and there are already results out in the market that with reasonable AI, production can be improved in terms of lower defect rate, higher throughput, higher quality, whatever. So there's a return on investment.
How do we empower the operator then what do we give them to make their life easier, allow them to make quicker decisions, and put the range of answers under their eyes?
So, for example, if we have a lot of data, then we can do some kind of analysis with it. So now probably nobody knows about it, but insurance companies are using a lot of data and algorithms to come back to us with the price, and they are using comparisons of the data. So if they know that 10,000 person, the same age, the same salary, different job spec are driving those cars, and everybody will get a little different price because those will be a data provided according to what's happening in their life, in their situation, but it will be similar. So the same with the operator. If there is a production line that is running, at the moment of the production, something will happen that is strange, but what's happening at the past, the data is there. There can be a software that can analyze that and make a suggestion that according to the past, that kind of, for example, inspection fault can be fixed this way, and it can be come back if we're looking for cheaper version on the screen on the machine, telling that please look in the feeder 20 because maybe the part is jumped, or maybe look at the printer because something will happen, because I can see the trend that the quality of the print is really low. But in the future, augmented reality, it's something that everybody are looking for, because then you don't need to touch anything. Every information is before your eyes, so you just look at it, have information on the HUD that something is happening with the machine number 2, and just look at it, and you can see that error blinking, that amount of parts that are planned for the production will not be sufficient, and you will need to bring another wheel of the parts, for example. So that kind of information helping operators will be around. So the same, if you are programming machines, AI can help, because when you done it many times, and AI is simple learning like a humans, it's a process of learning, it's neural programming. You say that kind of solution is good, that kind of solution is bad. The same with AI, it can help you with the programming. If you add a lot of information to it and tell AI system that I want to inspect that board, I don't have program for it, but can you help me? And in future, system can see that those components look exactly the same like the other one, so we came out with 95% program already done, and suggestion that I suggest you should use that kind of algorithms to inspect that kind of parts. Are you happy with it? And you can say, with my experience, I'm happy with that kind of inspection. And you have already program created in a couple of minutes, not days like in the past.
Do any of you think we will ever get to a lights out factory? That's the one of the buzzwords at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. Because sooner or later, with all the data present, with software to evaluate this data, a lot of work that today has to be done manually, I think can be automated. There will be robots for material logistics, and with smart AI algorithms, I also believe, not maybe within the next few years, but within a foreseeable future, that it will be possible to run the manufacturing processes more or less automated, and only in emergency cases someone has to look after it. The work may be shifted from the shop floor into, we call that a cockpit, or kind of command center or command cockpit, and from that cockpit a crew of highly skilled people will monitor the factory, will do remote assists and keep everything running, and only in cases when nothing else helps, then maybe an operator needs to be sent down or into the shop floor. But overall, I think with what we are building right now, the way how we get data from the shop floor, the algorithms we are developing, it will be possible to run a lights-out factory. We are working on that, and I think others do the same.
You mentioned the word factory, and factory is not all SMT. I agree with everything you say, and the material feeds I think is one of the key things, as well as the reduction of the maintenance and everything else. But it's possible. But then you get to the end of the line, and a lot of the manual operations, which account for like 20% of manufacturing, they actually cause 80% of the problems and the challenges. Yeah. So how do we kind of move from a human-based workforce to robot-based workforce? In a sense, if a robot can be programmed to do a repeatable job, then it will do it in the same way as a machine, and so that's not of a concern. But if we look at Industry 4.0, we're learning that factories are going to have to be a lot more flexible in what they're doing. Now, we heard about a year or so ago, Mercedes-Benz, when they're making their S-Class, they got rid of their robots from a particular process and replaced them with humans, because the human is much more flexible. So there is still a lot of work to be done to bring the level of flexibility for almost build to order in a completely lights-off environment.
That's the key. That must be the key, mustn't it? Because repetition is easy,
right?
But flexibility, changing, and being in a business where you change product, you might have multiple product lines, be able to swap them between different production lines, so you can optimize and make everything the most cost-effective way of producing something.
Yeah, so I think from the engineering side, it's possible, but from the practical implementation side, it's going to take a lot of work. And within some years, maybe some parts of it will become more automated. I mean, the level of sophistication of robots these days is growing almost exponentially. It is amazing what they can do. So, never say never, because I believe we all have this goal in mind that, a factory is simply going to be an engine of production. We have additive manufacturing coming in as well. So we can just say, I want to produce one of these, press the button, and the factory just does it. I mean, that's a great kind of scenario that satisfies a lot of business needs. So yeah, let's try. But I think on the way, we are creating a lot of value as well.
Yes.
We don't have to get to the end goal to be of value. We are getting a lot of great working examples, some good practices coming in, and it's making the business much more effective within, let's say, Europe and the UK.
Do you think it has sped up the rate of change? Like you say, that improvement, productivity, all those things are improving much more quickly now because of this than they were 10, 20 years ago?
Yeah, especially now that we have things like standards to communicate information, to provide that digital visibility of what's going on. These are the essential tools by which processes can communicate to be able to help each other, which is ultimately what's going to be necessary. Yeah. So Tom, I don't know if you agree, but I really see that as being the key driver for the enablement of this progress.
Yeah, I was about to say something similar, because yes, at my company we believe in the driving force of these standards, because it enables more companies, more people to participate and drive the whole thing. In the past, without standards, it's only few parties who are participating and working on a certain topic, usually maybe a manufacturer and a vendor, or maybe several vendors and a manufacturer, but it's always a local, isolated solution. By using standards, more parties can be involved, and as I mentioned before, then suddenly companies who only have an idea but are so far not really parts of this SMT community, but maybe they have a great idea about an AI algorithm, they suddenly can work on that because they can use the standard to get data. They can then focus on applying their knowledge to work on the data and not working on how to get the data. And so I believe that the driving forces behind innovation can now be much, much stronger than before.
So what I can add is when we'll take out the differences. So if there'll be just one standard, there will be no need to do our research and development around communication between. If there is taken out from equation, then all the effort can be put to different place. So if everybody are after the productivity, then that can be main focus and can be we can get there different ways, AI or even other ways that maybe in future will appear.
They're exciting times, aren't they? Because suddenly we've got the ability to use data in different ways, and it's how we interpret it, what we do with that, and it's using that data to improve across the board, not just certain areas, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So we may well end up with a situation where there are lights out factories and there are other factories that are all with people on. There's others that have robots. It could end up being what is the most appropriate solution for that particular product or style of production, maybe.
Yeah, I think the lesson to be learned here from what you're saying, I mean, it's really true. To get to this level of acceleration of development, to do it by yourself, forget it. It's not going to happen. You can refine and refine and refine and refine, but you're limited in your scope and your context. Working together with the companies that we've done here at the show for the demonstration, it's really opened my eyes to things that I never knew before. And it's with this working together, making standards, sharing information about how to improve things for customers, our mutual customers. It's amazing. And that's the thing that really is driving people forward now. So anybody out there listening to this, get involved, be a part of the team, make your own team, but just work together because it's really starting to race forward now.
What I can add is that ideal world would be to have a factory in the box. It's already happening. To have a factories in the box, you just customize it to one product, move it around the world, and it will be still working the same like it should, because it will be automatically operated. And somewhere there will be a central bridge that person will be just sitting, having all the information on the screen and saying, yeah, that's good, that's bad, and it will automatically adjust to itself. So that's for sure will happen. It's happening right now.
It's exciting times. Less the dystopian nightmare and more a box of opportunities, hopefully. So,
we hope so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.